Brian Kasiano watching live from Kenyatta University, the old Menengai hostel, I may specify, including the very specific location, Mali Naishi within Kenyatta University. Thank you, Brian Kasiano, for joining us here. MC Tosh saying that Arafat, wise speaking man. That's Arafat who just left the set on financial management for university students. Masharia Nelson Wanderi. These are good insights on Biashara Tuesday. Thank you for joining us here on this show. On Twitter, remember to tag me at Richard_Okenye at KUTV Kenya Fishware. Fishware 2020 is watching the show. See here Abed Mureithi all the way from Kasarani as well. Fanny Chaguru and Ojwang Mariam following the show on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Boniface Otieno as well joining here on the show. And a man who's been lost here for quite some time, ametupotelea sana, Edlens joining, and very happy to be back here following through with Biashara Tuesday. Let me introduce the guest who I have prepared here for you on the state of financial inclusion in Kenya. I'll allow them to introduce themselves, from Dr. Charity, and then we get to hear from the president. Alafu, we get to hear what financial inclusion is all about here this morning on Biashara Tuesday. The hashtag to use, hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Dr. Charity.
Thank you. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Dr. Charity Njoka, lecturer in Kenyatta University, specifically Accounting and Finance Department. I am a trainer also in financial inclusion and also other areas of corporate governance. And welcome, we discuss about financial inclusion status in Kenya, specifically with respect to the youth, the gender, the women, the underprivileged. And also we also compare where we are in relation to other countries in the world.
All right.
Thank you. Welcome to the program.
Right. Thank you so much to Mr. President.
Yes.
This is your chance.
Thank you, Bwana Okenye. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Calvin Inzala, a student at KU, and the Finance Society of Kenyatta University President, and also the organizing member committee of Career Week.
Okay.
Yes.
Career Week was a few weeks ago, right?
The one that was a few weeks ago was Culture Week.
Culture Week.
Yes.
And then Career Week comes.
The Career Week comes now after Culture Week. It was the end of the second semester.
The second semester.
Yes.
All right. I'm hoping we'll have you here again, of course.
I will be here again.
All right.
Now
Definitely.
for the Career Week.
Dr. Charity, maybe now we begin with you here to kick things off. Can you provide us with an overview of the current state of financial inclusion in Kenya, highlighting maybe progress which has been made in recent years, if there's any?
Yeah, thank you. If you'd allow me, first of all, let us know what is this thing which we call financial inclusion.
Right.
Normally, we talk of financial inclusion as the access to both individuals and businesses of the financial services. And this is access to the credit, access to loans, access to insurance, access to whatever services, even banking services. And currently, because let me say that I've been in Kenya for long enough, I can actually say that we have actually seen progress. From the time we actually had physical bank passes, where you could present in the bank once in a week, and today I don't even have to go to the bank armed with a physical document.
It's right here.
Yeah, it is right here on my phone. So, and I don't have, like, for example, to, like the way we used to go, like once in 7 days. And today I can access my banking products. I can even access credit. I can pay for insurance right from my phone. Actually, we have made a very big stride. Within, I would say, within 20 years, we actually where we used to hear where the developed countries were. So let me say that currently, irrespective of all this, we still have some few individuals who still have not yet reached the point where other persons within the country are. And allow me to say that as much as we talk of the youth, and these are the youth, for example, Calvin here, David, maybe you included, who maybe because of their income, because of their age, because of their level of education, some of them, they may not still be able to access these particular services.
Right.
So when we actually talk of the financial inclusion, financial inclusion is actually affected by 4 factors. One of them is the age. The younger you are, the more disadvantaged you are. Again, the gender. The women, and allow me to say women, they have actually been discriminated for the reasons which we are going to discuss.
Right.
Then the other thing is about the level of income.
Mhm.
The other thing is also about education.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get into the challenges, of course, then to see what roles the services have had in serving this underserved or reaching this underserved population that you've mentioned there, Calvin, there are pillars to financial inclusion. Maybe you can let us know of that as well. And how do we compare with other countries, do you think, at this point?
Okay, thank you. For the pillars for financial inclusion, we have the government. And the government should or plays a bigger role in disseminating this information to each citizen.
Okay.
And also we have the employers. The employers as well plays a major role because they need to provide this information as well. And the government can as well help the employers provide this information to its employees. And we also have financial inclusion in terms of how much do people know it. Yes.
All right. How do we compare generally? Do you think we are at a good place in Kenya when you look at other top countries in terms of financial inclusion?
Yeah, in terms of comparison, first allow me compare with the West countries or Western countries. Those are like the European countries. Comparing with the European countries, actually we still have somehow long way to go. But I believe with good management, with good government, we shall get there, and we are making a progress.
Right.
But comparing with our neighbors and our other countries, African countries, I think we as a country we have made a journey.
All right.
Yes.
We've made quite some strides here. And
Yes.
Dr. Charity, maybe to bring this up to you, recently we had a visit from the British Royals. King Charles was here. And one of the things that he was shown was the M-Pesa service, which has revolutionized financial inclusion. And we keep, thumping our chests all over the world that we have instant payment, which is unlike any other place, including the Western countries that Calvin is mentioning there. How have such services played a role in reaching to the underserved populations that you've been mentioning?
Yeah, thank you for that question, because I would actually say that I have been here before even these phones came. And actually I've seen the development of all these services, including the M-Pesa. And one of the things I would say about the M-Pesa is that it has actually touched all the sectors in the entire Kenya. Education, medical, whatever sector, agriculture, it has really touched. For example, if you look at education today, a parent doesn't have to go physically to the bank to pay the fee. You can actually use the M-Pesa and pay directly the fee. You don't even have to go like the way people used to go initially to the bus station and pay some money for the money to be ferried in a public means. Again, if you look at the hospital, you still don't have to queue somewhere to pay, and it means you can simply pay for this particular service, including the medical insurance. So right on your phone and using the M-Pesa, you can even send money to your daughter, your son, who is outside the country. So even to pay your employees who are working in your farm, or if you are doing farming business, you don't have to be there. You can physically organize, and every payment, even the receiving, it is right on your phone with M-Pesa.
All right.
Yes.
There's also now, other services from government like Hustler Fund and other, which have been, initiated by government before. How do we then, as a country, ensure that we are more competitive, as it's been mentioning, maybe we are lagging behind some countries from the Western side of it. In Africa, we could be at the top when compared to our neighbors. How do we ensure we are still more competitive as time goes?
So my take is this, and this is actually a call to the Kenyans, that once you receive loan, pay it. If you're a student and you have received, for example, money from HELB, pay. If you have received money from the Hustler Fund, pay. It is not free money. And this is how, when you pay, another person is going to get this money and again carry on the business. But as long as we are receiving money and we are not paying, we are not making payments, then the fund itself, it may not actually serve the purpose.
Right.
So actually it is my call to call upon all the individuals who have received the money. Remember, the money has, it was initially a fund of 20 billion, now it is 5 billion.
Right.
There's a possibility that it may even be zero.
Scrapped off, yeah.
It may be scrapped. So I actually call upon the Kenyans that once you use the money, actually it is free money, pay off the money, let another person also benefit from this.
Right.
And on that same note, I also call upon the Kenyans that when you receive this money from the Hustler Fund, use it constructively. If it is for your business, put that money in the business. Don't consume the money. Yes, that's the only way you are going to realize the value of the Hustler Fund. And I wish that after this, or after the various phases of the Hustler Fund, a survey can be done where the government has, or probably can determine, did actually people use this particular money to finance their small businesses? How was this money consumed? Was it for capital? Was it for boosting of the businesses? That is a call I'm making to the government.
Right, that would be very relevant
Yes.
information, I think, in trying to make it more competitive. And I'm hoping this could or can easily be translated even to help.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at, what has this money that's been disbursed to students been doing. Let's take a look at the percentage in terms of, was it used in academics? Did they have fun with it? And also a call out to students. I'm hoping Calvin can do that as well, that, when you receive your help as well, pay it back or use it constructively. Si lazima ununue debe, umeweka pale kando kwa room, yeah? While progress has been made, Calvin, challenges still exist, such as the ones you're mentioning there. What are some of the barriers as well that you can bring up that have led to, maybe the progress in financial inclusion to not be as fast as we think it should be?
Thank you. For the barriers or for the challenges that are facing this financial inclusion, one, and I think which is a major one affecting us as Kenyans, is unemployability. Actually, many of the youth lack employment. And if you lack employment, somehow you don't have the financial or the ability to meet your daily obligations. So these people, I think, if they can have access to employment, it will help them meet these all services. And also for the other challenges, comparing with other countries, is the technology. Somehow we don't have enough technology, or people don't have enough idea of the technology, how they can handle it, how they can use it. And if you just, like you mentioned, you can receive services right from your phone or your immediate gadget that you have in hand. But if you don't have knowledge how to use that gadget, I don't think if you will be able to access that information.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So information there is what I'm getting. The lack of necessary information in terms of using these technology tools for financial inclusion. That's a really important point there. Women's financial inclusion, Dr. Charity, I think this is very specific and relevant for you. Women's financial inclusion is also often a focal point when discussing these matters of finance. Could you shed light on the gender gap that is there in Kenya, and how can we close it?
Thank you. That's a pertinent question, which many people have said that women have been over-glorified. Their status is being put up, which I really want to disagree with, because from the time immemorial, gender, or generally, let me say that the women have actually been disadvantaged. And allow me to say again that it's only when generally women have something of their own, they have income of their own, that is the only time they can be able to expand to the other aspects of financial inclusion, like having an insurance, or even having a credit, or even having a savings account. Now, how many women, for example, today have a title deed for that piece of property, which they can actually use as a collateral to get a loan? Very few, unless they have bought it in their own name when they have been economically enabled. Now, the very same thing also applies to the women, that even when we go to seek employment, we are aware that there are some organizations which will not employ a pregnant woman, and with all due respect, we respect them. For example, the military, you are not supposed to become pregnant, they cannot engage you when you're pregnant. So again, we see the possibility again of a woman becoming economically viable or uplifted diminishing because the person is simply a woman.
Right.
And actually, when I talk about the women in this particular case, I like making a passionate call, which I'm making on this TV, that can the various institutions, including the banking sector, come up with products specifically which are friendly to the women? Is it possible for a loan repayment to be increased slightly for a woman who is a borrower? Can the lending rates be lowered in a small way for a woman who is a borrower? Can a specific account or products be created for a woman without asking her the details of what else do you have? It is known that give a woman small resources and she's going to create a bigger empire out of it. So let the institutions leverage on the capabilities of the women, which has been demonstrated by our leaders, the women leaders, that women can make a bigger empire from small resources. Let the products actually be created. And on the same note, I'm not saying that we are forgetting the boy child. The boy child, just as Calvin has said, that even when employers call upon people to employ, like I think the other day we saw about, I don't know whether it is 1,500 people or 15,000 people going for a position of which I think there were 11 slots, and most of them were men. There's something I keep on saying, that is there a possibility for the group of the youth who are educated to come up together and ask themselves, what are our capabilities? Can we create an empire on our own? Can we create an employment? Do we have to seek employment in our individual capacity? Allow me to say that there's a group I run. It's actually a mentorship group. I call it networking and repositioning the skills for global market. And this is where we ask ourselves, what are our capabilities? What is it which we can do as a group so that we don't even have to go and say we want to be employed in our own individual capacity? So it is still possible that for the youth who actually come from the colleges, they can come together and create an empire from their individual capabilities.
All right.
It is possible.
I like to borrow tips, and one that I've had there on, inclusion of women in this, or financial inclusion in regards to women that can be used for the youth is, I think banks should also have financial products that are tailored for the youth, especially who are unemployed. Interest rates which are friendlier, or at least different. And I think Calvin will agree with me on that one, that we get something that is specific for the youth, because they are also part of these groups which financial inclusion has not been able to reach to, especially the unemployed. When we're speaking about matters of employment, Calvin, what role does the employer play? And I'm sure the young people who are employed would like to know, is there a way my employer would help me in terms of financial inclusion? Does he have a role?
Yes, actually, for the main pillars for financial inclusion, one of them is an employer.
Okay.
And an employer, I believe, for him to be successful, he needs to provide this information to people.
Okay.
If you don't know, you need to perhaps save your money or get in touch with the government running things, which the employer should provide such things. I don't think if the person can be able to perhaps get into such things. So the employer has a greater role in helping his or her employees get this information and provide the information perhaps to the government, and also act as a link between the employee and the government.
Okay.
We have the services that the government provides, like NHIF, NSSF. So is the employer that pays these services on behalf of the employee? Yes.
All right. It's important to make them know, of course, of what they're paying for and how these financial services are going to be useful.
They will be benefited.
Right. Financial literacy, I think it's important that it's brought it up, and now that we have you as a lecturer as well, have we improved financial education in Kenya at this point, and what can we do? What more can we do within our institutions?
Thank you for that question, because financial literacy as a program is actually not there. It's actually conducted by the individual regulators. For example, the CBK, sometimes it does that. The KRI, it also has financial education again for the taxpayers. Very few institutions actually conduct financial literacy or programs for their stakeholders. So it is actually the high time financial literacy was to appear somewhere in the CBC, in the new curriculum. Otherwise, we have learners here, for example, Calvin and the others, who maybe for the first time they are being given money by their parents. Initially, they never used to have even to hold any pocket money in high schools. But now they are here handling even finances and the very basic issues of the financial management to deal with the finances which they come across when they're in college requires to be given to every person in the entire, and I think it's in the entire Kenya. And I think it is also important that even for the banks, even before they issue that particular loan, they need to have a financial program or education program for all the borrowers, such that as long, I mean, even if the borrower is actually free to go and use money for whatever purposes, but that general education to all the borrowers. Remember, we have seen people borrowing money to go and gamble.
Yeah.
We have even seen people borrowing and gambling and wherever, and even gambling, and even selling their private property. So the fact that even if money is not being given free of charge, it is upon the responsibility, I believe, upon the lender to have a very basic financial literacy program for the stakeholders.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Calvin, when it comes to matters of borrowing, the youth are the most, the biggest borrowers in the Republic, being that it's the most unemployed, demographic of the population. We've seen previously figures from including, Fuliza, 23 million Kenyans having an overdraft and they have not repaid. Some of them had to be, the president had to come with new regulations and frameworks to ensure that they are not under or they have not been blacklisted from lending. How can we do better as the youth now that we've looked at what can be done in terms of getting financial inclusion to us, closer to us? What can we do ourselves to ensure that we're not falling victim of this financial inclusion that we want to be a part of, that we're getting money, that we're using it effectively, and that we're getting it from the right places?
Okay, thank you. Just as Dr. said, this information need to be provided to everyone, or to mostly, now that the youth are being affected, or the main stakeholders in these matters. So it needs to be provided to them. Now, as youth, I believe for you to keep running or to get running is a personal obligation.
Okay.
Take this as a personal initiative that you need to take care of such issues. If you are given a loan, if you are given a help, this loan needs to help another person. If you are not sure enough, or if you are not obligated enough to pay this loan, then what do you expect in future? Do you expect this person again to give you or to entrust you with money again? So it's a financial, is a personal initiative that when given something, or when given this loan, kindly pay it back, so that we can get growing each other and each day.
All right.
Yes.
Doctor, you have something to say there?
Allow me to say something there.
Okay.
Because actually, and there's nothing wrong with the Fuliza.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with all the mobile loans. But the question is, what are you doing with the money? And some of the studies have been done which have actually shown that most of these loans, especially the mobile loans, which have been taken by the youth, they are simply for lifestyle, to maintain that high lifestyle. And this is where the challenge of the youth comes in, of the peer pressure. Because you want to buy that phone which is like for your friend, you have to get a mobile, you have to get a loan. And the other thing is about, I like to say, is that if it is a Fuliza, or if it is a loan for whatever amount which you are taking, ask yourself 3 questions or 2 questions.
Okay.
Is it important? It is either important or not important. Is it urgent? It's either urgent or not urgent. If it is not important and it is not urgent, take back the item to the shelf. You don't have to buy it. Allow me to say here that there is one youth who actually told me, anytime I go to the supermarket, I normally know that I have 5,000 shillings. From where? From the Fuliza. And I tell them you don't have. Because it is actually not your money. Yeah, you cannot say that you have, because it is a credit facility of 5,000. You don't have. Simply say that you are a slave.
Right.
Yes, or 5,000 shillings. And you cannot be. You cannot be saying that you have 5,000 shillings, which is not yours, which you don't have.
Right.
So it's actually a call upon the youth that the Fuliza and all the others, just like the betting, once you are used, you are hooked in it. Can you find a way of getting out of this? And you simply ask yourself, is it urgent? No. Is it important? No. Then I cannot Fuliza. Don't.
Watu wanahesabu, anasema if they have 1,000 in M-Pesa, an account kama 6,000.
Yes, that's what they normally do.
Plus please, niko na pesa. Nahesabu hadi ile hauna.
Hauna,
right.
Yes.
Savings. it's very important as well in terms of financial inclusion. Calvin, I think, are the youth saving? Do you think the youth are saving? Ama hatuna kitu ya kusave?
Perhaps 10% are saving.
What can we do to then improve our savings culture? I had asked this question earlier when we were having a conversation on financial management for university students, and it brought me back to what I used to do, personally speaking, while I was at Kenyatta University. I would save and still borrow myself, you know, nikitaka maintain lifestyle, kama daktari amesema watu wanataka kwenda out Friday, na mimi nasema nitoe savings nitajirudishia Monday, which never really happens. How do we encourage saving and saving well, such that siti najidanganya I am saving but I'm not really?
For the saving, as well, is just a personal obligation. You need to have that mentality that this money I'm keeping it aside, it will help me in future. If you don't know what you're saving for, then I don't think if you will have that mentality for saving.
Okay, so not just saving for saving.
Don't just save for saving. You need to think of in future. Okay. Why am I saving? How will I benefit when I save?
Right.
Then I believe that people will save. And also peer pressure from others. If you can distance yourself from such things, I think you can work well with saving.
Right. Daktari, they say that, you know, I can't save what I don't have. How do we save what we don't have?
Yeah, you can still save. Because I don't believe that there's a person who is funded 100%. Your lifestyle is 100% funded. Even if it's 100% funded by your parents, for example, like Calvin and the other students in Kenyatta University, you cannot again keep on asking money from your parents every month. You should actually ask yourself, when I'm given this particular money, what percentage can I save? Now, let me say that the saving culture here, I want to look at it from the two perspectives. Those people who are employed and those persons who are not employed. Those persons who are not employed, they are receiving their upkeep from a particular source. And nevertheless, they can still save something, which they would say at the very end of the year, this is what I have saved. And what are you really saving on? You are really saving from consumption of these other services, which are not necessary. So that is where you cut the cost. And I believe that as you continue consuming, for example, if you're a student, whatever it is which you are consuming, you are normal expenditure. Sometimes you can say, I need to cut on this particular expenditure because I need to save around 20 shillings. And every time, for example, your expenditure, let's say it is 100 shillings, and you consume around 80 shillings, the balance of 20, go ahead, put it somewhere. You can even open an M-Pesa. We have an M-Pesa savings account. Yeah, put the money there even if you don't have a bank account.
Right.
But I would encourage every person who is over 18 years old to open a bank account. After some time, go and lock in money, even if it's 1,000 shillings, so that it is not affected by the inflation.
Right.
It is still possible even at the end of the year to be saying I have 1,000 shillings in a bank account, which you cannot access again through your phones. Again, it is more about what do I need to do as an individual to ensure that I am not tempted to withdraw that particular money. Yeah, so put it in a way where you may not easily access it, but at the end of the day you'll be saying at least that 1 year, or when I was in campus, I saved 100,000. It is possible.
Yeah. I remember back in primary school, we used to have a trick where you give your friend the money and tell them, hata nikifanya aje usinirudishie, hata nikilia
by force.
Na ikifika wakati unataka kumpiga vita, naona ni pesa yangu, tafadhali nirudishie. So maybe find ways, if you don't have discipline, to sort of outsource the discipline. You put it somewhere you can't access it in 48 hours, or you know, in an account that is locked for a week or something like that. All right. So for someone who's watching, for our listeners particularly interested further in maybe exploring this topic, are there resources within FSKU, or are there workshops that you do? What activities are there in financial inclusion?
Yes, we do have the workshops in FSKU. We do have weekly meetings every Wednesday from 6 to 8. If interested, you may join us at BSSC room 148. We always discuss these matters, these financial issues, how we can save, how we can borrow, how we can improve our financial status, not just as students, but beyond students.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm invited to join.
Very much invited.
Okay. It's not restricted to students of finance.
It's not restricted to only students of finance. It's open to everyone.
Okay.
Yes, because we understand that financial affects everyone. Yes.
All right. Dr. Charity, as we wrap up, what do you see is the state of financial inclusion going to look like? Is there a way also that communities can come together? Najua kumekuwa na chamas, as you've grown up, we've seen our parents with chamas, and some of us have tried chamas. I'm talking to my friends who are watching me behind the camera there. We tried chamas, tumeshindwa, but maybe some positive outlook on how it's going to be in the Republic in general.
Allow me to first of all look at the bigger picture. Climate change is here with us. You can see the effects. We can also see the inflation. We can also see the shocks which are happening. We have the war all over the world. Irrespective of that, there is a possibility that we could actually have improving on the financial inclusion by going lower to the low middle income individuals or to the underserved community. One of the things I've seen actually, which is very true, is that groups, and especially youth groups, women groups, I wonder why there are no men groups.
Yeah,
I know they are there, but sometimes they are. But the groups, and especially in the rural village, they have actually uplifted each other. For example, where I come from, there is a group which has about 800 members. And you know what they do?
800 members.
800 members. And they do not have whatever, the insurance they have is contribution of 50 shillings to provide burial to one of their own. 800. And you know how much they collect? 50,000 shillings. And it is a group which has tents, it has chairs, it has the PA system. And this is a call. I remember there is one person who came and was asking, how can we create such kind of whatever? So there is a possibility that even as the youth, whom we are talking about here, Calvin and the others, you can actually create a group which can actually steer you forward. And remember, this particular group is also in terms of what are your capabilities. You can bring your capabilities together and you create a business. You can also create that particular group and move each other. Yes, nowadays, remember, even the group insurance products, they are there, which are a bit cheaper than individual. Yes.
On an emotional level, before I maybe get something from Calvin there, you've mentioned, the wars that are going on, inflation, they're getting fears that, petroleum might shoot up to 300 shillings a liter. How do I keep a cool head still within all these financial troubles going on?
For me, I would say that as Christians, I believe we are Christian too, let us pray for ceasefire. Let us pray for a peaceful coexistence. Let me see you as my brother. Let me not see you as a man or a person of another different race, a person of another religion. Let me see you as a fellow human being. And we simply say that we need to live in peace. Yes.
All right.
So actually, it's again a call upon all the world leaders that is it possible? Can mechanisms be put in place to stop any infighting, any fights within or between nations and within the countries?
Okay.
Yes.
Calvin, I think I'd like you to wrap it up as president of FSKU to speak to the students mostly on these matters of financial inclusion. Any tip that you can, tie it down to also financial management for university students? Conversation we had earlier on. I wish we had you on that panel as well because it's relevant for university students, but another time as well. Please let us know of a tip or one last thing you can say on financial inclusion for university students.
Okay. Before I wrap up, I think I need to echo on what Dr. has said concerning this information to even more individuals out there in our villages. For instance, in my village, we do have this association called GLA, the Grand Lucia Association. We provide information, or we help these members in this association get information on how to maintain themselves financial-wise. And also, we at the government, such associations are the ones that links you with the government and provides you information from the government.
Okay.
So, wrapping up, from the financial sector, from the FSKU, is my appeal to every student or to all students that we can do this.
Okay.
We can save. And it's a personal obligation that let's come together, let's reason together, let's be attending such events, let's be attending such career talks, and build our knowledge in financial matters. We can save, we can borrow, and we can build our future.
Okay.
We can as well look forward to having a greater society and say, look, our country is developed just like perhaps like Singapore, which is the best country in terms of financial inclusion.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Here, overwhelming feedback from people who have been watching this show. I see Anne Wanjiru watching from KM live. Very informative session. Thank you and congratulations to Calvin. Rafiki live from Twin Towers within Kenyatta University. ATSB cohort. Tracy, congrats from Auntie. I think that's Tracy already left the set earlier on financial management. Lizzie Nyags to KUPC. Very informative. Also, this is Ndongo Njeri. Jilo Mamu tuned in, kama kawaida, great show happening, watching all the way from Muthaiga. Thank you for all those who are still sending in feedback and tagging me on all the social platforms that we are on. This has been a very comprehensive discussion on financial inclusion and the state that we are in as a republic, the youth and underserved population. There are a lot of financial services and products which are around you, and sometimes it's a lack of information on where to access them, how to use them, how to effectively use them. So get knowledge as much as you can. Reach out to experts such as the FSKU and Dr. Charity Njoka from Kenyatta University. Thank you guys for the time that you've had with me.
Thank you.
All right. I know there's much more that we can talk about. I have a very specific discussion that I'd like to invite either or both of you on, which is on money. And we've been trying to understand money. How do I, how do I keep money? How do I get money? How do I use that? Our relationship with money seems to affect our lifestyle and our life in general. And I'm hoping at some point we can get time and have that discussion here.
Thank you. In fact, that is the talk we have tomorrow.
Yeah,
really? We have the talk about the peer pressure and money.
Nice. Okay.
Glad also being your guest in that panel.
Okay. Taking a short break. Be a Shara Tuesday. Continue tweeting, and I'll be right back.